Hello, everyone. Welcome to Power Up Your Productivity. It is our June edition. We meet the fourth Monday of every month. And just a note that this is our last one that will be on Zoom. From here on out, we will actually be meeting on LinkedIn Live, where I will be streaming to LinkedIn, to Facebook, and to my YouTube channel. But you can tune in on LinkedIn and ask questions there through the chat, as well as ask questions retroactively if you watch the recording, and I will be answering them on the chat as we go through that. So wanted to kind of go from here. And I just returned from vacation and was in Italy for almost 3 weeks, and which was amazing. And it is time to re-enter the workspace. And so today I really wanted to focus on re-entry. And what does that mean? And how do we set ourselves up for success when we come back from a vacation or a trip or whatever it might be, or just taking time off? A lot of times it becomes really difficult to come back in because we feel so overwhelmed by everything that we have to do. And we haven't really been proactive before we left in order to set ourselves up for success when we got back. And we end up diving back in, feeling overwhelmed, feeling behind. Those kinds of things happen to us when we're returning from a trip, or even the holidays. A time off at the holidays can be hard to come back into work. So I wanted to just talk about a couple of things that you can do to set yourself up for success on re-entry. And I've written a couple of blogs about this, or newsletters, actually. I don't think they've been turned into blogs, but written a couple of newsletters about this. And I every few years do a pretty big trip and end up coming back, and it's always top of mind. So that's why we're visiting that this year again. So the number one thing I believe that you can do to set yourself up for success on reentry is to not have anything, or at minimum one thing, or maximum, I should say, one thing on your calendar for the first day back. So I really believe that the thing that should be on your calendar is sort of communication cleanup, where you have time to go in and look through your emails and clean them up and respond to things that need to be responded to. Get things on your calendar for the coming weeks that need to be put on your calendar because of correspondence that happened. And so I think that this can be, if you've set aside time to do it, and that's your one big task that you need to do the day that you get, like, your first day back, then what you're doing is not putting yourself under stress. You're not continuing to feel behind on correspondence and communication, because you are taking the time to put the things out there that need to be put out there. And you're responding to people that need to be responded to, because hopefully you have had on your calendar while you've been gone an autoresponder that said when you would be gone and when you would be back. On that autoresponder, I also suggest that you say that you'll be gone a day longer than you would be gone. So like if you're going to be coming back into work on a Monday, have the autoresponder on until Tuesday, and say that you won't be back in the office till Tuesday. So that gives you that day to just catch up on correspondence, on communication, and then also maybe on some admin that needs to be caught up on. And the power of this is that you don't feel any time constraints. You don't have any appointments that you need to be conducting that day that you get back. And just stand really strong in that, because it gives you a chance to feel like you've gained control of your email. You've gained control of people that you needed to get in touch with when you got back. You have also given yourself time to do some admin on your own terms and your own time, so that the following day you are ready to engage. Now, for me, when I got back from my trip from 3 weeks off, I did have to meet with a group of mine, one of my programs, and it was a 2-hour meeting, and it was the only thing on my calendar that day from noon to 2. And other than that, I spent time cleaning up my emails, responding to things that needed to be responded to, getting meetings set up for later in the month. And so it can really, I started out feeling very in control, very in control. And then I knew what kind of a week I had in front of me and how to let things unfold. So that's number one, is really catching up on correspondence, having at maximum 1 appointment on your calendar that first day back, because it gives you time to catch up, to wrap your head around being back and lets you ease into being back. So then the second thing would be having that autoresponder on your email for an extra day. So that, again, people don't know that you're necessarily back and engaged. They know that you have another day that before you're back in the office. It doesn't mean you're taking another day of vacation. It means you have another day before you're back in the office that people can really reach out to you. The third thing is, for that first few days that you get back, try to lighten your load. Don't. So what happened to me, just to give you an idea, last week, like I told you, on the Monday, I had a 2-hour program, like training that I was doing. And then the next day I didn't work. I think I had, so that's not a lie. That's a lie. I did work. I think I had like 1 coaching call, and I had the rest of the day to kind of recover. Now, I had an 8-hour jet lag difference that I was making up for and getting used to. So I needed some time to do that. And so I really lightened my load. If I were coming back from a camping trip or something like that, I might not need quite as much space. However, I think that it's really nice to have a lighter day that second day as well. And then my third day back, I was booked pretty handily, pretty heavily. And then the fourth day, I had a lighter day. So I was really trying to balance myself out last week. And people gave a lot of grace. I had a couple of clients that I was supposed to meet with that I was like, hey, I am really fighting this jet lag of 8 hours. Could we move the appointment to next week? So that brings me to the next thing, is that if you can have your calendar set up before you leave, to have that late week, the week that you get back, and have appointments scheduled that you normally would have scheduled, and try to stack them into the next week, but not all in one day, so that you're giving yourself time. The next thing also is to try to, this will be the final thing, is that I strongly recommend that you have worked ahead on anything that you can work ahead on. So I was just talking to a client of mine who's leaving for Italy, of all places, in September. And she has a lot of things that she's feeling very behind on. She has a lot of things that she does live every single month, or not live, but, releases, I should say, every single month. So she has her social media. And so if you're doing your own social media, I recommend obviously getting your posts done so that they are running, and for the whole time you're gone, plus 2 weeks after you get back. And then she has other things that she launches with her business in a thing called Patreon, so that people get these recordings every single month. And right now, where she is like 1 recording ahead of where her content is. And so she's just 1 step ahead of her people, which works most of the time. It's a lot of times how I run things. However, if you're going to be gone, what we want to do is set you up for success, so that you have those recordings done for the time that you're gone, plus 2 to 4 weeks after you get back. So anything that you can prep to be gone and for when you get back that can be pre-recorded is really, really helpful. If I had been gone like for longer than I was, I would have also written my newsletter for July in June before I left. I did not need to do that because I had 2.5 weeks after I got back before I needed to release my newsletter. So I had plenty of time. But if I were doing some pre-recorded things or releasing things, I would have worked to proactively have those done. And I don't recommend doing them the week before you leave. I recommend you backing it out and being like this client of mine, she leaves in September or August 29th. So what we're doing is backing things out into July, and we've made space in her calendar 2 days a week to do her recordings, to get those things done so that she's actually, when she gets back at the end of September, things are covered through the end of October. And so in October, she'll be working on November and so on and so forth. We've actually set her up to be ahead when she gets back and not behind. So anything that you can do that you can pre-record, pre-do or pre-write or whatever it is in order to set yourself up for 2 to 3 weeks of not having to do things. It could even be your invoicing is set up ahead of time. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you could set up that you usually do from your desk each month on the same day. Hopefully you're doing that. If you're following me, you're probably doing that. Then you've set yourself up to be able to not feel behind or stressed, overwhelmed, or have pressure when you get back to get the things done that you need to get done for that month that you're in. So these are the things that I highly recommend for re-entry. And there's more to it than that, but I think that if you can do these 3, 4, 5 things, then what you have done is helped you or helped yourself feel like you're not jumping in with both feet from a high cliff when you get back. Instead, you're wading in slowly before you have to start hopefully never treading water, because that's the point of JMD productivity training, is that you're never treading water anymore. You're always making forward progress. So that is the training for today. If anyone watching has any questions, you can unmute now or chime in on chat and let me know if you have any questions, comments, thoughts on what we have covered today. And I will just hang for a second here and see what we've got, if there's anything. Yeah, Leisha, do you have a question?
I do.
Yeah.
So I typically have, I have my autoresponder on daily for
Yes.
my messages so people know how often I check my emails, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
with a few links on how they can get a hold of me or set appointments. But I am planning to go out of town next month. And so what would be, other than the typical, I'm out of town from here to here, is there anything, since I'm already using an autoresponder, that you would suggest I also do? Or
So I think you just change your autoresponder. Instead of I'm checking email 2 times a day and this is when I'll expect to hear back from me or know that I'll be looking at what you sent me. I think you just have that vacation responder on that says, hey, thank you so much for writing. I'm out of the office. I will be returning to the office on such and such a day.
okay.
And it's kind of a bonus if you happen to check in while you're on vacation, which, I hope that you can disengage and be gone. But I think that, yes, they already are used to seeing the autoresponder, but people still look at it. Like they will still, and especially if you change the, to, I don't remember what your autoresponder says now. Alicia is someone that I engage with quite a bit. And so I get that autoresponder. I don't know if it says out of the office or checking emails. So instead, have it vacation alert or out of the office alert or something like that. I think that to get people's attention and not have them think that it's going to be the normal 2 times a day that you check it, that they know that that it's like vacation alert. So change that subject line.
Yeah, because
And
I think it says like, thanks for
I think it does
your
too.
message
Yeah.
or something
And
like
I would
that.
say
Yeah.
put it in all caps, like, so they know that you're gone.
Okay. And then my other question is, so I probably, I will have an autoresponder on as far as like, taking any new business or new meetings or anything while I'm there. But I will probably have a couple of projects that I am working on while I'm gone. And so obviously those clients I'd be in contact with and they would know that they could get a hold of me for those. But the question I have is, as far as the re-entry, since I'm not totally detaching, like, do you have any further feedback for that, or just
well, I think this is a good question, because what you're doing is you are engaging in the projects that are ongoing or the clients that you have set up to work with while you're gone. Which sometimes we do, we do because we have some deadlines, or we have, I was still engaging with a couple of conversations that I had started before I left with people. I wasn't coaching or anything while I was gone, but I had some emails going back and forth that I had with people. And I had like 3 times I communicated with my team, like one time a week I was communicating with them. And my team knew that they could get a hold of me another way, not email. Like we have Slack set up where if they really needed me, they could get a hold of me. But I think it's really important that you still, for re-entry, because you're only hopefully working on a couple of clients stuff while you're gone. For re-entry, you still have that day to feel like you're catching up on correspondence and communication.
Okay.
And planning. So I didn't really talk about that, but what is the plan as you're going through the communication? You're like, oh, I need to work on this. When am I going to do that? I need to work. And hopefully you have set up your calendar to have space that week where you can plug things in that came up while you were gone. Okay. So that's a really, really good question, Leisha. Thank you for that. That you are still having that day of like peace, to give yourself time to figure out where you are, that you're back. What do you need to work on now that you're back? And since you're going through your emails, like, oh, I need to plug this thing in. I do need to get that to that person. And some of it you'll be able to do that day, because hopefully that's all you've got going that day, besides maybe those couple of live projects that you've got. But if there's meetings that you have to have, or people you need to talk to or whatever, that you can set that up. And you're like, hey, I'm back. Would Thursday at 3 work for you? Or, whatever it is, that you still give yourself that time to ease in and feel like you are staying on top of stuff rather than getting further and further behind.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your questions. All right, I think that is Power Up Your Productivity for the month of June. Please look for us live on LinkedIn. And if you're not following me on LinkedIn, please find me at Julie Miller Davis on LinkedIn, and you can follow me there. And you'll see that we'll set up the event of the Power Up Your Productivity there. We'll also still have it on my website that'll direct you there so that you know where to go. And I hope that you found this helpful. I would love to hear your recordings. Thank you so much.